Hi, Subhashini, and welcome to this series of conversations where I'd mentioned to you earlier that we get women achievers who we call women trailblazers to share the story of their lives with us. We want them to tell us about their journey, ups and downs, challenges, successes, achievements. The idea is that other women who are listening into them also get inspired, motivated to do, whatever they want to do, to follow their heart, and, get out of whatever is holding them back. And eventually, we want to build a community of women who are there to support, empower, mentor each other, be there for each other. So let's dive in. And of course, thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. This is beautiful. I love the whole concept of bringing women together. And yeah, I love that we want to help them break from what's holding them back. That's a very nice statement to say. So lovely to thank you for inviting me. This is
You're
beautiful.
most welcome. So fine, let's dive in then. So tell us a little bit about your childhood and early life to just get an orientation about you.
Yeah, perfect. So I was born in Singara, Chennai, as we call it. It means beautiful Chennai. But that was only 3 years that I was in Chennai, and then we moved to Indonesia. That's where my whole childhood was. I grew up there, and it was a very amazing childhood in the sense that I got to enjoy my Indian roots as well as be Indonesian in my own way, from enjoying their cuisine to enjoying their culture, and also, enjoy playing badminton, which I pursued professionally as a teenager as well. And then after uh, about 15 years in Indonesia, I moved to the US to do my undergrad. I did my undergrad from the Kelly School of Business, and then moved back to India. So my childhood is actually like it's like a concoction. It's like a soup of different cultures, and I couldn't have imagined it any other way. And that's what inspired me to write my first book, which was called Not Really Indian. And that inspired me to collect all the stories and the quirky characters and the quirky stereotypes that we have as NRIs living outside, and giving it a womanly perspective. So it's about 10 women who've lived in India and abroad, and how their identity changes. So that's what my childhood is about. So it's clearly a mix of different cultures.
And anything in particular you remember about the way your parents raised you, or any influences from their side, your mom or dad, something like that?
Yeah, I think there was so much respect for every culture. So my dad used to say, when you're growing up in Indonesia, there are some cuisines like fried grasshopper or fried ants that you would feel, or frog legs for that matter. So my dad said, just tell me that, it is something that a mother packs for her child, maybe as a tiffin. So you can never show disrespect. Maybe you don't try it, or maybe you just allow, taste it, but you should never disrespect it. So there was so much respect overall. And I also remember that I was the first female teenager to go out of the house to study abroad, in the sense that from Indonesia, I went to the US. So everybody was against my parents. They told them, why you can just send her to Singapore, which is it's a 1 hour flight from Indonesia, or just send her back to India. You have so many relatives, we'll take care of her. But my parents stood their ground and they said, no, she's a good student and she's won her scholarship in this university abroad in the US. And it's important that we give her those wings.
Yeah.
And I think that just stuck with me, right? As a 17-year-old to hear that, which means that, they value my independence, and they have valued, I'm a girl of the house, but that never stopped them from giving me wings to, take risks and send me to the US to educate me. So there was just respect. I feel like that is, if I had to summarize it in one word, in all aspects, in terms of respecting what we wanted to do, our talents, as well as the cultures that we grew up around. So I cannot fathom sometimes where the hate comes in today's world, or how we keep, like you really mentioned, we keep asking women to hold back. So I cannot imagine that having grown up in that household in childhood.
Actually, it's the way you're raised, upbringing, which makes all the
Yeah,
difference. I mean, whether you hold yourself back or you go out there to do what you want to do, follow your dreams,
yeah,
it
yeah.
has a lot to do with the way you've been raised. Yes.
Yeah. And I think when they say muscle memory, it's not just your legs and hands when you play sports, right? It's also your core muscle memory in your
Yeah.
brain. That's just ingrained now. So I have a daughter, and I think I would never want to hold her back, whatever she wants to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and for my son, of course,
Mm.
same thing
Of
for both
course.
of them.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, was writing a natural progression for you, or was there something else that you took up before that?
No, so I've always been writing. When I say always, I guess from when I was in eighth grade, I used to write for the school magazine,
Okay.
and then I wrote poetry. I also edited the school yearbook. So it was always a part of me, and I actually loved it. I really loved it, and at the back of my head, I've always wanted to be a published author. Um, you
You
see
are
only
now.
the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
so one tick of that
Yeah.
bucket
Yeah.
list. But yeah, I've always seen the glamour of it, book signing, and we used to stand in line for some of J.K. Rowling's books, and they used to come out, and I'm like, oh wow, that would be so nice if that happened to my book. So I
Hmm.
think it was a very innocent dream, which I eventually pursued probably more than a decade later after starting to dream it.
Hmm.
Um, but natural progression, yes, in a way that I was always writing, whether it was in my own diary or in school or even in college. I used to write, it was more business papers then because that's what I pursued.
Mm-hmm.
So analytical business papers, but I was always writing in some form of the other, or some form or the other. It was
Okay.
just to change the form into an actual book. Yes, that was the risk taking, I guess, I pursued.
So writing was your career goal. I mean, you never pursued business, which you studied.
No, no, no. Writing, it was my secondary
Okay.
career goal.
Okay.
Business was always my primary goal, and that's what I pursued also. So I went into consulting after I finished my undergrad,
Okay.
and consulting, banking, and real estate. I've had 12 years of experience in these three sectors, and I
Okay.
was quite an ambitious 20-year-old who wanted the promotions on time, who wanted to get, the right ratings for
Mm-hmm.
my work. But yeah, that's what I pursued as a mainstream career.
And now you are into full-time writing.
Yes, I took the break 3.5, 4 years back,
Okay.
and I've been writing full time. Just recently, I have stepped into the career world again
Okay.
in real estate, but that's been only 6 months. But until then, I pursue writing full time. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your latest book.
Yeah, and it's right
Yes.
here
Yes.
with my
Yes.
morning
A
coffee.
second chance. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, A Second
So
Chance by Subhashini Prasad.
yes.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for this forum to talk about it. It's always a pleasure to talk about your book, but
Yes, and if I may add, it was an absolute delight. Light read, delight,
thank you.
looking at, the society, people from a different lens, much needed because, as a society, the focus is always on the young, the youth, and
Yes,
people who are
yes,
slightly over the hill or even maybe
yes,
I mean largely over the hill. Nobody wants to talk about their emotions, their feelings, or their needs. So I think it was
yes.
very interesting and a very what should I say, timely, because you kind of focused
Mm,
attention on that, and I think that is the need of the hour, because when we talk about things like old age and mental health and all these things,
mm, yes,
somewhere we need to focus on this strata of society which has played such an integral role in making the youth be where they are today. So yes, so
yes.
very interesting. So
Thank
when I read the blurb, I said, okay, I want to read this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now over to
Thank
you.
you
Tell
so
us about
much.
it.
Yeah, so A Second Chance is very, very close to my heart. It was planted in my head as a story when in Gurgaon, when at my son's preschool graduation. In
Hmm.
one line, it's about two grandparents finding a second chance at love and life.
Yeah.
Uh, in a slightly longer form, it's about Padma Rajagopalan and Naren Rathod, whose characters I've poured my heart into. They are two grandparents, widowed at the age of 60 plus, and it's their story in terms of how they meet, grandparents' days, how they meet, and how life actually changes for them, and how they discover complexities in their relationships with their own children as well as themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then they bring out the best in each other, or bring out something that was hidden, and it comes out as they get to know each other. It's their friendship transformed into a love story, and unfortunately their children not accepting it.
Yeah.
And then what happens? How do they fight, or do they just give up as another act of selflessness? So that's what is the crux of the story.
And very interesting. You see, when you look at children not taking into it or not accepting it or whatever, so I think there is a bit of a selfish angle over there, because I think children are looking at their happiness, their
Yeah.
egos, their social circle. They're not really thinking
Yes.
about their parents, which is actually
Yeah.
true. It's a reflection of
Yeah.
what actually happens. So great. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed the book, and no spoilers here, but I really
Yeah.
enjoyed reading it. All
Thank you.
right.
And I know Sangeeta and I will appreciate that it's set in Gurgaon. So all
Yes,
the more, yeah, a
we
city
can
that is
relate
close
to
to
it,
our heart
people
as
here.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me something, in as a career woman, of course, you were in consulting, and then now, of course, you're writing, and then you're back to being, where you started out from. So any challenges that you faced in terms of what you were doing as a professional and also as a woman?
Yeah. So consulting is not, it's a very good career starter. It's, I think, the best career starter in the business world, as they call it, because it gives you insight into many industries and roles. But it's very taxing in the sense that you live out of a suitcase. So Monday to Thursday, you're traveling to the client site. Um, when you're young, it doesn't matter, but then it takes the toll on you. Cancelled flights, snowed in airports, and then hotel room, very erratic schedules.
Yeah.
So I think that I was really burnt out. But like I said, as a 24-year-old, it didn't mean much. It was like, let's keep going, you don't take a pause. So I think that was one bit that was difficult. The second bit, in very annoyingly, at least in my early career, which was surprising to me, is I had very good male managers, but very poor female managers. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
yeah, I always thought otherwise, that you would want to encourage a young female consultant, but I don't know if it was my luck. The senior managers that I had, two female senior managers that I worked with, they were they were hellish. They made my life very hard. They gave preferences to the male analysts.
Okay.
They did not really encourage me to grow. They put me down a lot in terms of criticizing, which I thought was very weird. But on the other hand, the male managers were surprisingly, I don't know, it's some hiring method that, or just my luck, but they were equal. They didn't expect that just because it's a 8 a.m. meeting, both of us had, both the female and male analysts were to be on time on whatever. They never made the exceptions, or working late nights, uh, pulling all-nighters. They didn't make the difference, and they gave good constructive feedback, which I really appreciated. Um, and that's one thing as a woman that I struggled with, that why did I not have female managers? And that changed when I moved into my real estate company after my MBA. I had the best female managers. Like,
Oh,
they
okay.
really pulled me up, and they knew. And at that time, I was also newly married, and they knew the, uh, you know, uh, sometimes what can hold me back in terms of staying up late, or going to late night meetings, or going to client meetings, the preparation that's required for it. But it was beautiful. There was a lot of hand holding in a good way, in the
Okay.
sense that how to navigate yourself in a career. And that made a world of a difference, because then I knew what was expected of me, who
Yeah.
believed in me, and somebody who knew the challenges I would face at that particular stage of my life. So I think as a woman, sometimes we're not taken seriously. That's what um, that is the challenge that I've faced, because in consulting it was a client-facing role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes when you voice your opinions, it doesn't come across as loud and bold
Yeah.
as your male counterparts, or also your male managers.
Mm.
And I think that took a lot of time to establish in my own way, because even though I was ambitious, I was not very assertive
Mm. Mm. Mm.
in
Mm.
and in a good way, right? You don't necessarily have to agree with everything. You
Of
can
course.
constructively put it across. And I think that was a skill that I had to acquire because I still am not very assertive.
Mm.
And I think that was harder for me to build as a woman. Um, and I think I was able to build it only when I had supportive female managers. It was easier to work
Okay.
on it. They
All right.
put me in harder situations. They said, it's okay, make mistakes. Maybe you won't negotiate the right terms, but fall back on me.
Mm.
We will take it up. We'll go to the round 2 of negotiation, push harder for you, but
Yeah.
do it. Push yourself, negotiate, be assertive, tell them that this cannot work out. This solution is too expensive for us as a client. So
Mm.
those kind of things, if I didn't have a mentor, it doesn't matter if female or male, but to have that someone who understood, what you go through in life,
Yeah.
uh, it helped a lot. And it helped in a weird way for me to be stronger and more emotive and assertive, which was very much needed if you want to grow in a career. And that trajectory, you need to build that skill. It's important.
Definitely. And someone who understands you and comes from your own stock, in the sense like a woman.
Yes.
A woman will
Yeah.
always understand. I mean, you
Yeah.
may choose not to understand, but it is
Yeah.
just not possible that a woman will not understand another woman's point of view or situation.
Yeah.
We all go through the
Exactly.
same things, so it's just not possible that you don't. So that's
Exactly. So
why.
if the fantasy you have about her, that's exactly why I started Women for Women. Because on Insta, which I started, and it's just a simple 20-minute conversation
Mm.
uh, every month that I do with women of different professions. Because I've seen these two sides where you have a good
Yeah.
mentor who understands you in your different life stages, and then where you don't have it. And she used, like, my manager used to see me as a competition. Like, why? Why
Why?
would you not want? I mean, there is no competition. You would want to grow your herd, right? But it was not like
Absolutely. And I think it
it was
comes
not
from a
that attitude.
space of insecurity. If you haven't been
Yeah,
able to do something, so
yeah,
yeah, that is, I think, one of the reasons. So,
yeah,
okay. So now tell me something. Now, you are a published author, successful, all of that. Just share a few tips. Now, somebody who's just embarking on a journey, what would
yeah.
you suggest? A few tips, 5, 6, whatever is your number, just share them.
I'll do a simple three
Okay.
top tip. Um, I think number one, I'm not going to say read a lot because I'm assuming if you're a writer, you're reading a lot.
Yes.
That goes without saying. Number one is please build patience. It is very important as a writer. It
Mm.
takes it takes a lot. You spend, I don't know, maybe 6 months to 1 year to write a book, and then it takes 1 more year to publish. And then when you publish, it's a very different ball game to writing. So please build that patience, and please set your mind to the reality. It is not all glamorous book
Yeah,
signings and
yeah.
tours. It takes a lot. The authors who have reached there have worked tremendously hard,
Mm.
and there is a little bit of luck also. Sometimes you might have given your best book, but it might not sell. And my second feedback is to learn book marketing, because there's one thing to write a very good book,
Mm.
and there's another thing to sell it.
Yeah.
So, and third thing is write consistently. uh, Whether you're having a bad day, whether you're having an over the top day, whether you're having a writer's block, whether the story is just stuck,
Mm.
just write. And that's exactly what worked for me. So second book I wrote every day. First book also I wrote every day. In fact, first book I wrote it as a novel first, and then I changed it into a set of short stories. So I had to write every day if I had to change the format. And I wrote every day for my third book as well. And sometimes it flows. You finish your chapters, and sometimes you just finish a paragraph, and that's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself, but write consistently. It doesn't matter. You can always go back to that paragraph and edit it, or to that chapter and edit it, but write
Yeah, of
every day
course.
if it's something that you want to pursue. Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
great.
maybe a fourth one is build your writer network. I
Yeah.
think if you're looking at it as a career, then you can't do it alone. So build it with the agents, with other writers, with editors. There's so many opportunities to go to talk to them in lit fests or even online. Some are more open than others to replying to DMs,
Mhm.
but I've seen the author community is quite friendly. I've gotten many good feedback and mentorship from authors like even Ravinder Singh, he's also from ISB. So sometimes I ask him, I've gotten this contract. Do you think it's right? And they know the struggles. So they're very, very, even names like Kiran Mandral, Richa Mukherjee, which I enjoyed reading their work. But when I reached out to them, they're like so friendly and nice, and they help you. So build your network. It's like any other career, build your network. And of course, we work with Suhail Mathur, who's our agent. He helps you get into a community of authors and published, those who have a range of experience in publishing and writing. So yeah, build your network. I think that's very important.
Okay, great. Okay, so tell me, you are an author now, of course, back to working and a mother,
Yeah.
wife, three different roles, which
Yes.
I think every woman has to play. So what is your way or strategy or mantra, whatever you may want to call it? How do you juggle these various roles, these various balls, and not let them drop?
I let it drop a lot, I think. How do I do it? I don't know. I think one of my friends gave me very good advice early on, and that was, multitasking doesn't work. Just divide your time. Um, so multitasking in the sense, I used to try to do everything at the same time, in the sense that I'd be writing and then giving my child coloring to color, or what I mean. That's what I used to do. But now I divide my time. I have my work hours. In the morning, I start my day very early, and I do my exercises. I do my Pilates, get it out of the way to energize my day, because I think that's very important to exercise and keep your physical health sorted so that your mental health can be sorted. And then after work, I switch off. I completely switch off my mobile and I just dedicate to my kids.
Okay.
So the writing bit now, I used to do it before they wake up in the morning, but now because I've started working, I don't have that luxury in the morning either. Now the writing bits I do is after their bedtime. So
Okay.
I've divided my day, or on the weekends when they are in their own classes or birthday parties, I do it at that time, or podcast recordings, I do it at that time.
Okay.
But dividing my time has saved me, Sangeeta. I don't know how to tell you, but I used to try to do everything at once, like cooking and then listening to an audiobook. And I don't do that anymore. If I'm cooking, I'm cooking. If I'm with my children, I'm with my children. If I'm working, I'm working. And if I'm exercising, I'm exercising. That is the only way there's been sanity to juggle so many roles, like you said. And trying to be compassionate to myself when I miss that parent teacher meeting scheduling, or miss that miss that particular book post that I had to do, or something like that. And cultivate that compassion, self compassion, that it's okay to let go sometimes.
Sometimes you have to. You're human at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, these two things, I guess, has helped.
So now at this point in time, if you were to look back on your life, of course, you have miles to go, but if you were to look back at this point, what would you think has been your biggest success? And here I'm not talking about awards, achievements. I mean, it could be anything. It's up to you. What do you think has been your biggest success?
So it was not a very easy decision to think about doing writing full time. I had to forego some amount of financial independence for it. So when both were not really Indian, actually did very well when the Kindle version came out, and during the pandemic, there was a time when paperback was not being sold. So at that time, the Kindle Unlimited, I put it out for free for a month.
Okay.
And when I came back, I never checked my sales after that. And then I came back to it after 2 months, after the period of when it was free, because there were so many downloads, the sales had just gone up month after. And I felt so validated as a writer at that time, because there was no one giving me an award. It was not like I had a best-selling book. But to know that it had spread in its own way, in a word of mouth way, was very, very like refreshing for me, because I was always doubting myself. Why have I done this? I let go of a good career path to do this as a passionate writer, but that was very nice to see. And the same thing happened with A Second Chance, is when it's a bit different in the sense that they buy my book and now people are highlighting quotes from the book and sending me screenshots on Instagram or even on WhatsApp sometimes if they're known readers. And they say this changed my life, or I'm like missing Naren and Padma after reading the book. So these are like, I feel, very big successes when you, in a career, I know, right, there'll be a promotion, there'll be a change of title or a change of role. Now you have a team under you. I know that. But when you have taken this risk and you don't know, these small wins seem very big. These two, I think, instances when I have pursued writing has been a very big success point to me, and validating that I can continue doing it as a writer.
Sure.
Yeah.
So with a busy life the way you have, how do you keep yourself motivated to be on track, on point every day?
Actually, I just do it. I don't look at the results. So I think it's a very newly cultivated mantra. Before, I used to just do it and then see, oh, has the book, I used to chase Suhail, our agent, every month. When is it coming out? Have you heard from publishers? But now I've realized that I'm just going to do it, enjoy the process, and the results will come as they do it, as they come, and then if they're not up to mark, then learn from it. So I think that's the only way I've been able to keep my sanity in this whole juggling bit of career and writing. Because if I was chasing results, then I was not able to be motivated. Because even, for example, social media, right? You put up a reel, sometimes you have thousands and thousands of views. Sometimes it's 100. But you might have, but the one that you have 100 views, you might have put hours and hours of your work, and you think that is the true crux of what you're about, and you've put yourself out there. So if I keep looking at my results and chasing and tracking them, I would be very demotivated. So I just do what I enjoy, and I let the results take their own pace. And then if they're very demotivating results, then I take a call, step back, and learn from that. That's all.
Great. That, I think, is actually the right way to do it.
Oh, thank you. Trial and error, and then I ended up in
it is at the end of the day, it is trial and error. See, we are all learning and growing, evolving, as we live our lives. Nobody has this perfect set of formulae or perfect set of tips to follow life. It's just that you just learn from experience and then move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I think I still see myself doing it all. However greedy that sounds, I think I'll still be writing, hopefully, and I probably am a more stable career, because now that I'm back into it and my kids are older, I think I will be able to do both, writing and having a career, as long as this whole compartmentalization of my time continues to work, where I can dedicate to work, writing, and children. So
Great.
hopefully a more leadership role in 10 years in a good company, and then a few more books to my name.
Wow. So you manifest it, I'm sure it'll happen.
Thank you. Yeah, I would, talking about manifesting, I keep telling everybody I manifest a second chance converted into a movie also.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be another dream come true if it happens. So
sure. Okay. So now, as a woman, when you look back on your life, or even as a person, you must have had some lessons, certain things which life has taught you. And on the basis of that, is there anything that you would like to advise the young girls of today who are on the threshold of their personal, professional lives? I mean, what life has taught you and what you think, somebody should tell young girls. I mean, whether they listen or not is a different thing, but your 2 bits on what they can or should be doing. So what would you like to say?
This is something I tell my kids as well. Like, we have these mantras that I write down for them. And one thing I always tell them is the secret ingredient is confidence. And I think as women, as girls, it's very, very, very easy to lose your confidence.
Yes.
And that is the most important. It is going to be your best friend, your strongest reliable companion is confidence. So whatever you do, whether you are very good at studies or at sports or believe in yourself, or art, take the risks and believe in yourself, no matter who says what, whether it's your parents, whether it's your siblings, your peers, your teachers, doesn't matter. You believe in yourself and go for it, and the result will follow. Confidence is truly very, 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 very important and needs to be cultivated at a very young age, especially in girls, because the media will say your body needs to be some way, the skin needs to be glowing, it has to be a certain color. Your hair, look at my hair today, it's frizzy, but it's okay. I'm owning it.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
London, rainy weather, it's okay. It's you.
Yeah.
So be you and be confident all the time. No matter, failures are going to come. People are going to, naysayers are always going to be there. But be confident and surround yourself by the people who support you. Identify them early on. So this is one big tip, I would say. And like I said, my childhood was so beautiful in the sense that it was very nurturing, and I had a very good support system, and those who always edged me on to do better in life. But if you don't have that confidence, is what you have to fall back on. There's no other choice. So build that early on, no matter. Just love yourself. Very
Yeah.
Kareena Kapoor dialogue, but yeah. So, but yeah, that's my tip to young girls.
And where would you place financial and emotional independence for them?
Very high, very, very high. Please learn about it early on. And I think learning about money, skill building, emotional, I think there are some, like, for example, in the kids' school here, they have something called a mindfulness, 15 minutes of mindfulness after lunch break every day.
Okay.
It helps them to, breathe in, breathe out, and handle their emotions and stress, and learn those skills early on. Even if you're not implementing them, at least be aware of how to grow your money, how to save them, how to have your own bank account, and emotionally learn the skills that is required, whether it's meditation, mindfulness, or knowing to who your peers are, how to deal with conflicts. These are very important. And I think life is your best teacher. But if you equip yourself with some of these very simple exercises, like, if you have in school here, they have a star. If you have a conflict and you're not feeling good, they just breathe in and breathe out as they trace the star. So simple as that, it can just level your emotions and make you deal with whatever conflicts you're going through. So I wish I learned only in my late teenage, or in my 20s, these skills, but I wish I had learned them earlier. Very, very high. I think even now, with so many new products in the financial world, I'm still learning it.
Sure.
Yeah. So just be open and aware, and ensure that you're equipped to deal with, and you can be stable financially and emotionally in the future. So
I think it's about, being accepting and not, living a cocoon or such a sheltered or protective existence that you don't know what exists outside of that world. I think with education, awareness, all this comes, and women especially need to be more mindful of it, because there'll be forces which will try and hold you back. So don't do it.
yeah,
Your gut
exactly.
always tells you when you're doing something which is not right.
Yeah,
So I think
totally.
following the gut is very important in every situation, whether it's work or it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
What you are going wrong. So
Yeah.
don't. I
Build
think
that
that's
instinct.
yeah.
Yeah. Build that instinct. And I think also challenge roles that you have to play. Why is it that the mother only has to take time off and be with the child? Challenge it. Challenge your partner. Or if you are, if you are up for a promotion and you are against going with your male counterpart, make sure, fight for your equal salary.
Yes.
Because you are no less competent just because of your gender.
Yeah. Correct.
Challenge it. I think be brave to challenge those things. I wish I was braver to challenge those things, or more aware, to challenge these stereotypes that very naturally fall on us, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
I'm so happy when there are bloggers and influencers who talk about equal parenting or equal pay, and even celebrities who talk about it, especially in the movie industry now, they're very vocal about it. It's very nice to see. Challenge those.
It's very important because there is no basis for it. It's just been there in our society for God knows how long. And then, we get conditioned to believe that this is how it should be, but that's not right. It's not true.
Yeah.
It's not supposed
Just
to be.
because it's always been that way.
Yeah. So in today's day and age, when we have, made so much of progress in every possible way, more and more women coming out into the open, breaking the stereotypes, barriers, and, following their dreams and passions. And of course, then becoming successful. You see women in every walk of life, they're making a name for themselves.
Right.
But when you look around you or when you interact with people, socially or otherwise, how do you think people, which includes both men and women, take to successful women?
Like I said, I've had very different experiences. Sometimes women, with their own insecurities, they show, jealousy, or they don't want you to succeed as much. And that is very disappointing to me. You should be supporting your herd, like I said, like we talked about.
Sure.
And I think successful women or men should basically have the same reaction, right? Like it shouldn't matter that much. There's always a doubt, oh, if she's now succeeding in her career, will she be able to manage her family? Why does that question come in? It doesn't come in when my male counterpart is successful, right? So it's very different. I think when you have a good support system, they're always encouraging you, no matter what. So have this very fun, funky group of girls in Gurgaon, and I think in my book I've dedicated a thanks to them also, because no matter what, they have my back, and that's very very rare to find, right? When you're
absolutely
successful in any field. So we have a dentist, we have a businesswoman, we have teachers in that group, but no matter what, we're there for each other. And I think that's the ideal reaction for a successful woman. Sometimes in my own career, I have faced that once I got a promotion and my female counterpart, she didn't the same promotion, and she was my friend and she didn't talk to me for a few days. And I felt so bad. I mean, I should have been celebrating the promotion, but I felt really, really upset that she didn't get it. And then later, after 3 days, she was large-hearted enough to come and tell me that, I felt bad. I was jealous, but you know what? I'm happy for you. So if everybody has that awareness, that you can feel it. It's sometimes very natural.
Of course, it's human. You're human.
Yeah, but then you come over that and say, good job. Let me learn from you, or let's work together so that I can also succeed with you. That would be ideal. But I think it is still a man's world, unfortunately, and successful women are sometimes, mostly, I think we're happy for them, but mostly we are a bit skeptical that can she still have it all? Can she still do it? Or does she need to have it all? Which is my least favorite question. So, yeah, it's a mixed response.
So you think men also react like this? That they also are skeptical about? Okay.
Yeah. I think the women, the minute, like some of my friends who had to move cities for a career, the first question is like, oh, what will happen? Will we be in a long distance marriage, or how will the child do it? It wouldn't be the question, right? If you were getting it, we would just like move with you, or so it is there. It is still there, and I think you can't blame them, because this is how we've always been wired to think. It's just about challenging it, and the more we pursue successes, we pursue our own interests and career trajectories, or whatever. No, not just a career, our own paths with consistency and with resilience, the world will.
Yes, we just have to be at it, I think. Be consistent about it and we will get there. Yeah. Always be optimistic.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So another common trend which I have seen, and of course you are, I think you're doing the same, and somewhere even I am, that nowadays people are, starting to do, if not multiple things at one time in terms of their careers and professions, but they're also switching. So,
Yeah.
what they've been doing for maybe the first 10, 20 years of their lives, suddenly in their middle age, in their late 30s, early 40s, they decide to change and start doing something else. So like
Yeah. Yes.
taking to writing
Yes.
or, singing or whatever.
Yeah.
So why do
Yeah.
you think this is happening now? I mean, was the earlier generation not aware of their passions, or what was it? Why couldn't they do it, or why wouldn't they do it?
That's a great question. I think number one is awareness. One is with our education system, it's split into two, right? Science, commerce.
Yeah.
There's no other. But there's awareness from all ends, and there are opportunities from all ends now. Because you can have a career as a YouTube creator. You can have a career as a crochet maker and sell your things on easily online. You can make your
Of
own
course.
website very quickly. So I think it's a combination of two things. One is self-awareness. Yes, we can pursue these passions. Uh, and there is room for failure and
Yeah.
success. I think for that is one. And second is there are now examples that we can quote. Now we know there are successful stand-up comedians. There are
Yeah.
successful, those who have their own podcast channels. Or for that matter, on the flip side, there are successful CEOs. So you have examples all across to inspire you and aspire towards. So I think it's a combination of these two things that is changing. Like even if you see, for example, we have the show Shark Tank, right, in India.
Yeah.
You see the variety of things everybody is doing. They are willing to take that risk because they know maybe there's a chance on Shark Tank. You can at least come there and showcase your business. It's a consumer market, driven market. There are people buying. India is becoming a buyer's market. So it's very, very refreshing to see. And I love this appetite for risk taking that has come in our country, right? It's driven by successful startups and entrepreneurs who have paved the way, who've taken that risk and shown that you can fail also, but if you succeed, there's a very big opportunity out there to make it big and to make it larger. So I think it's a combination of these two. The entire market is changing as well as self-awareness.
Yeah, and like awareness, exposure, so all that. And you understand that it is possible, it is within reach.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of difference. And your aspirations don't have to just exist in your mind. You can actually make them come true. That's right.
And I
that I
think
think
the
is a
simple everyday ideas, like I think I'm forgetting the name, but there was those two ladies who were making achar and they came on Shark Tank.
Yeah. I know what
They
you're
used to
talking
make
about.
it for their family, and then it's like, why not make it at scale? So
Yes.
yeah, it's just that that questioning which is becoming a risk-taking opportunity. So
Yeah, that I think there's more openness now.
Openness, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we come to the final question, and which I normally word it as, or can a woman have it all? But to you, I will say, should a woman have it all? Or is there something known as women having it all? Why don't men have it all? Or it is not possible?
Yeah. I would say yes and no.
Okay.
I'll say the yes first because never hold yourself back from pursuing it. You don't not pursue it because you think you cannot have it all.
Okay.
And make sure it is your choice. Basically, your choice to be a mother, your choice to be full-time professional or full-time mom. Just make sure and be at peace with what you decide to pursue, but never hold back. The no aspect is it's cyclical, right? In the sense that you can't have it all the time.
Yes.
That's I think that's very, very important to accept. Like, for example, when I took the 4-year break from my career, I had my passion with me going for me, and I had my full time with my small children, but I didn't have a career, and it took a while for me to accept that, but I accept. And then now that they are older, more independent, I'm able to juggle it. So just the reason I say no is because you can't have it all at the all time, and it's just going to create anxiety if you pursue it that way. So there are some times that maybe your partner will be, going up his career and needs to do those hours. Maybe you take the step back, and then when it is your turn, just make sure that you have the support system from him or the entire family, that you go trails blazing, and there is a support for you to,
Yeah.
so that you're not holding back. But to expect that, when your partner is also working many hours, the kids are at home, and you can also take a break, that I think that's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic,
That you
absolutely.
can't have it all the time. But yeah, should you have it all? That's to each his or her own.
Yes.
I think it's very, very beautiful when someone wants to be at home with their kids and be a full-time mom. That's completely okay as well. Or if you choose to be a complete professional and not want to have kids, that's completely okay as well. So just make sure it's your choice, and not, it's easier said than done in our society, but and
Yeah,
not
yeah, I agree.
laid on by others. Yeah.
I think you've put it very beautifully. First of all, you need to be realistic. You can't do everything all the time, so don't try to do it. And of
Yeah.
course, what your all is should be defined by you. It should be
Yes.
your choice. This is what I
Yeah.
want for my life. This is what I don't. And I
Yeah.
should be the one deciding that. That I think is very, very critical. We can't
Yeah.
let others dictate terms.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
And that's the only way you'll be able to be at peace with what you're doing. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Subhashini. It was indeed wonderful talking to you. I mean, it's like I always say, it's largely the same set of questions which I ask every woman. And it is very interesting to see how we converge when it comes to our viewpoints. Most of us have similar answers. And so I always feel when you think similarly, go through similar experiences in life, why not be together?
Totally.
So yeah, so it was indeed actually a wonderful experience having you. I hope you had a good time.
I did. And your questions were very, very, very refreshing. I think
Thank you.
we don't get to talk about it as much, success or failures or choices, from a women's perspective. So this was very nice. And thank you for having me. I'm
Most welcome.
looking forward to others listening to this conversation. And like you started this podcast to say that, if it prevents someone from holding back, I think our job is done. So
Yes, I agree. I completely agree with that. Okay, so thank you.